Hey, it's Johnny Jett, and this is my 39 travel questions. And today we have Heather Greenwood Davis from Toronto, Canada. That's why I'm wearing my Canadian shirt. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe. And Heather, by the way, is a contributing editor and on-air storyteller for National Geographic Traveler and a feature writer with Globe and Mail. She is a resident travel expert on The Social, which is a national daily lifestyle show, which I actually been a guest on before. And she's a co-host of Get, Set, Go on CHCH TV. And most importantly, her and her family were named National Geographic Travelers of the Year after they spent a year going around the world, 29 countries and 6 continents. So unbelievable. Anyway, Heather, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks. Great to be here.
So did you grow up in Toronto?
I did. I mean, all over Toronto, and now I'm actually in a suburb north of the city. But yeah, I've lived in here my whole life. I'm Canadian, born and bred.
And where'd you go to college?
I went twice. So I went to Carleton University in Ottawa for journalism. And then many years later, I went to the University of Windsor for law school.
Wow. You're a lawyer?
I am.
I did not know that.
Reformed.
And did you ever practice law?
I did. So I was called to the bar in 2000 and I practiced until 2007.
Wow. What kind of law?
Yeah. Medical malpractice litigation. Mostly I was at a big firm here in Toronto. But I was not suited for that career at all. It was a bit of a fluke and a dare that got me to law school, and I found my way back out. So I survived, and I'm better for it, I think.
Good job. I was supposed to be a lawyer. My dad's a lawyer. My brother's a lawyer, and they wanted me to be a lawyer. And I was like, first of all, I'm not smart enough. And second of all, I'm not going to be sitting behind a desk all day long.
Right.
I got to travel the world like you did. So,
okay.
Speaking of the world, how many countries have you been to? I know you've been to 29.
Right. And that's the thing is honestly, I don't typically count them because I always feel really weird saying, the number is probably more than 80.
More than 80?
More than 80, but I'm always wary of the fact that I've been to several cities, in India, but can I really check India off my list? So it always feels a little weird when I say that because there's so many of them that I need to go back to and explore again.
Gotcha. And how about continents? Did you make it to the 7?
No. So that's the one. And I almost sort of had a lock on it for this year, but don't think so.
And do you want to go?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think the number one reason I've avoided it is that I tend to follow the sun. And so I'm always looking for warmth. And as you can bet, it's Antarctica that I haven't got to yet.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm the same way. And also, I do not want to do the Drake Passage.
Yeah, I've heard things. Yeah.
So it's May 25th, I think, today, or 26th.
Can I take your word for it?
Yeah, no one knows. We're still kind of the stay-at-home order, especially here in California. How's it going in Toronto, and how are you doing with the quarantine?
I've been fine. I'm lucky. I actually think that year away prepared me for this in some ways because I'm home with my kids. My husband's in public health, so he's actually working and back and forth. But we've really been enjoying each other's company. So me being home hasn't been a problem. Me not traveling is hard. I miss it and I'm ready to get back out there. I mean, obviously we have to wait till it's safe to do so, but the actual quarantining hasn't been a problem. Toronto isn't doing as well as it was. So we were doing really, really well and everybody was handling these stay-at-home orders and doing just that. And then we had Victoria Day long weekend, which I guess is the weekend before your Memorial weekend, but the same idea, right? Cottages, get-togethers, and the sun came out, which for us in Toronto was a big deal. And so once the sun was out, people, I think, lost their minds a little bit and got out there. So we've had a spike again. And so a bit of a setback. So we'll see what the next week or two brings to know, when we'll be able to move further. I haven't seen my parents. Well, I've seen them, but I haven't touched them since mid-March.
Are they in Toronto?
They are. They're 10 minutes away.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a weird time. Excuse me. And I know, we just had our Memorial Day weekend, and I saw those images from the Ozarks. I don't know if you saw that with a big pool party. I mean, let's just hope no one had COVID. But do you know anyone that had COVID-19?
No, knock on wood, so far, I don't. I know people who think they might have had it sort of before it hit the news in the way it did, and they were pretty sick and they think so. But, and I've heard, friends of friends have had it, but no one in my immediate sort of friend circle or family has had it so far.
And would you get on a plane tomorrow?
No, not tomorrow.
What would it take for you to get on a plane?
I need to feel really safe and secure as far as that I knew that, you know what, I'm most afraid, not so much of the plane and the cleanliness of the plane and all of that. I'm most afraid of, I'm just getting rid of those sounds for you. I'm most afraid of the other passengers. I think there are people who aren't taking it very seriously. And my concern, you hear the stories about the people who don't want to wear the mask or just aren't taking the precautions, and I'm not prepared to put myself or my family in that situation. So not yet.
100%. I'm the same way. And I just read last week some dude tested positive and he still tried to get on the plane.
Right.
There's a bunch of selfish fools out there.
Yeah. And I think until we have some, whether it's a vaccine or they just have it under control a bit more, it's too soon.
What's your favorite American city?
Wow. It's a bit of a cop-out, but probably Chicago.
Why is that a cop-out?
I say it's a cop-out because I think Chicago's a lot like Toronto. So it actually feels, when I'm there, I feel very at home and comfortable. And I think part of it is that the diversity of it and, the things it has to offer really do remind me of home a bit.
Okay. How about internationally?
Internationally, Lisbon, I love. But you're gonna, these questions, I don't know what the theme will be, but I bet you run into Portugal with me quite a bit. That's sort of my top one. So Lisbon's big for me, and then Johannesburg. I love Johannesburg. Yeah.
Where do you think the friendliest people in the world are?
Toss up. I'd say I met friendly people, Rwanda, New Zealand, they're incredible, and Cambodia, and Portugal.
And traveling as a Black family around the world, did you encounter racism?
Oh, that's a good one. Overt racism? No. That's curiosity because of the color of my skin? Absolutely. But never anything. No, I was never in a situation where I felt dangerous, and I would never suggest to people that they shouldn't go because that's a reason that's out there. In fact, there are places that I travel to that I'm not sure want me to come, but I'll go anyway.
Really?
Yeah.
So where were the places where you felt where they were curious? China?
China was a big one. Yeah. I've written about that quite a bit, and I came to the conclusion that there was a real curiosity there. And but that was definitely, there was a lot of, in India, also India. There was a lot of sort of skin touching and hair curiosity and that sort of thing. But I also made a ton of great friends in both of those places. So.
Yeah. One time I was in China and people came up to me for photos. They thought I was a celebrity. They touched my hair.
Oh yeah.
And in India, my wife is from Indian descent. And I figured going to India, no one even look at her. They actually treated her like a Bollywood star. People were asking her for pictures, and I was like, they really thought she was a celebrity. And
oh, interesting. Maybe because she's got the westernized look to her, and so maybe that's the thinking.
Maybe
it was clear that she wasn't of there.
It was it was remarkable. Where do you think the meanest immigration officers are?
I'm gonna the U.S.
That's okay. Listen, it's funny because most Americans say Canada.
Really?
And I'm starting to feel like it's, the Canadians and Americans just go back and forth with each other.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're hanging out. Maybe they're hanging out and swapping stories. I don't think I've ever had an issue with a Canadian. I've had the whole "is that woman your mother" thing with the kids at the Canadian border. When you got to wake have you had that where you've got to wake the child up and then they question the child?
No, well, my son's just beginning to speak, so.
Yeah, so was mine.
But that's good. They do that in Canada or they do that in America?
That was coming into Canada. That's the worst I've had. But the States, they've pulled me over. I don't look like my ID, that kind of thing, where I'm like, come on.
Right. Yeah, no, but it's interesting. If you watch any of these interviews, 95% of the people say Canada.
Really? I'll have a
Uh,
word with them for you.
and I'm with them too, because they used to always give me a hard time. But anyway,
Okay.
that's why you need Nexus, global
Yeah.
entry,
Yeah. That's made a world of difference for me.
big time. Is there
Huge.
any place you have no desire to go? You kind of alluded to one of them.
Really?
Well, you said there's some people or actually, you said you still want to go, but there's places that don't want you.
Right. Oh, those are the places I want to go most of all. Like, no, there's no place I wouldn't go. Like, I tend to follow the story. So if there's something, if I, and people always have a story. So as long as there are people there and interesting things to do, I guess the one thing that sort of distracts me sometimes is the weather. So if it's cold, but no country I wouldn't go to.
Okay, good.
Mm,
How about space?
I'd go.
All right, you're a
Yeah.
brave
I
woman.
mean, we need to make sure the right safety precautions are there, but yeah, I'd go. I'd go.
Okay, how about your favorite U.S. airport?
Probably Atlanta. And honestly, I don't think I have a favorite US airport, but that's the one. I know it. I can get around it pretty quickly. I'd say that one. And I've got friends in Atlanta, so I can always make a stopover or something.
Good. How about Atlanta? How about internationally?
International, Singapore, Changi.
That's
Oh,
99% of the people's, including mine, favorite.
yeah.
You can't compete with it.
No, it's absolutely. And I feel like I'm not there enough for it to be bored of it. Like there's always something to check out and to do. So yeah, absolutely.
And are you an aviation geek at all? Do you care about what kind of plane you're flying on? What?
No.
No. Okay. That's all right. I listen.
The
I
kind that
have.
takes off and lands. Like,
Okay.
that's the only kind I care about.
And have you ever sat next to any famous celebrities?
I have not. I've been on a flight with a celebrity. I guess a celebrity, Akon. You know Akon?
Akon.
He's
Akon.
musical. I'm trying to think of
Acorn.
what it. Akon,
Akon.
Akon. He had lots of hit songs in the 2000s. Anyway, he was. I flew in Emirates A380. That's probably the only airplane reference I've got. I sat in seat 1A, first class.
Nice.
Right? Inaugural flight from Toronto to
Dubai.
Dubai. And Akon was in business class and I was in first. And so I was
You're like, Akon,
pretty
what's
jazzed up.
up? And did you take a shower?
I did. I didn't sleep the entire flight because I was determined that I was going to try every single thing that was offered on this flight. I do not typically fly first class.
Well, I've been on Emirates business class, never first class, so I'm very jealous
Ah,
of you
it
taking a
was.
shower in the sky.
Listen, I did first class there and they flew me business class back and I was like, what is this, economy? It's it spoiled me forever.
Wow. Next time you got to do it reversed. I always try and get the longer flight,
Oh yeah,
when you're going
yeah.
back to North America.
Good call.
So what's your drink of choice when you're on the ground or in the air?
I have a new one. So the newest drink for me, it's called a Porto Tonico. Have you had that?
Never even heard of it.
White port and tonic on ice, a little bit of rosemary in the glass. And it's refreshing. It's like a mojito, but without the sweetness. It is my summer drink of choice. I had it, my last trip before COVID-19 was to Porto, and they introduced it to me, and that was a mistake because now it is quite popular around here.
Well, and how about in the air? What are you drinking? Water?
Usually, yeah.
Me too.
I'm not popping. I'm not doing alcohol really in the air. Yeah.
I'm with you. How about your favorite restaurant in the world?
I love any restaurant that has a nona in the kitchen. So if it's a grandmother of any sort, of any nationality, I'm down for that restaurant.
I like that. That's actually a really good tip.
Oh yeah. They know how to cook. It's going to be great food.
It's true. I love it. What's the craziest thing you've ever eaten?
Worms. I did it twice. I did crunchy ones in Thailand, kind of like Kentucky Fried Chicken, but I knew they were worms, so it was terrible. And then I had fat, sluggy kind of worms in Cape Town, and it was like one of those places where it was just sort of a dinner. We were invited guests. I was lucky to be there, and it was passed around just like you would pass around, the potatoes or something, and I couldn't not. So I had it, less enjoyable, but it went down and stayed down.
Yeah, I've eaten grubworm before in New Zealand, And it actually tastes like chicken.
Yeah, no. You're not cooking the chicken right, Johnny. It's not supposed to be the same.
What's your favorite hotel in the world?
Um, oh, um, it's Ocean House Hotel at Bass Rocks.
Oh,
You know it?
no,
It's
I thought
in,
I thought you were gonna say Ocean House in Watch Hill, Rhode Island, which I was supposed to be at today.
oh, really? Well, I
Yeah.
bet you it's similar. I mean, it's a similar, but it's in Manchester. It's in Massachusetts, in Gloucester,
Okay.
and it's right on the water, and it's like an old cookie cutter kind of house, and it's gorgeous. And I am at peace there, and I've been twice, and I always go by myself.
Well, next time check out Ocean House in Watch Hill, Rhode Island.
Okay, I'll take a look.
And actually, you can see Taylor Swift's mansion right next door. I
Oh,
grew up
really?
going there.
Okay,
Um,
right.
best hotel view.
Ooh, I would go with, just off the top of my head, Park Hyatt in St. Kitts. Have you been there? And
I've been to St. Kitts, but I haven't been to the Park Hyatt.
you're looking right out at Nevis
Nice.
across the water, and they all have these gorgeous balconies. And it's sort of set up like an old sugar mill kind of. It's a very Caribbean feeling place, but the views are spectacular.
Sounds pretty good right about now.
Yeah, really.
How about credit card? Which credit card do you travel with?
I travel with a Visa, and it's got no points attached to it. Isn't that embarrassing? I know.
You know what? We're going to have a talk on the side. You need to start earning some points.
I know. Listen, I only started now really paying attention to even collecting points. I think I've been a frequent flyer of any kind of caliber for only maybe 2 or 3 years.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know. I couldn't understand
Heather.
why people kept getting upgrades and going to the lounges and all. I was like, yeah.
It takes 2 minutes. Next time we'll have a talk.
I know. I'm doing better now. I'm much better now, but the credit card thing's still an issue.
Good. And do you have a favorite airline besides? It's got to be Air Canada, I assume.
It's not. I mean, I do like Air Canada, and that is where I collect probably the most miles. But I love Air New Zealand. I had some great flights with them, and their staff is incredible. And just, we're talking about friendliest people, right?
Agreed.
And it carries right up into the airline. And then I like Emirates as well.
Yeah, I love both of them, but Air New Zealand is a step ahead in terms of friendliness. Amazing.
Yeah, they're unbelievable.
How about your favorite island?
Jamaica. My parents are from Jamaica. My family history is from Jamaica. So if I don't say that, they come after me. But I truly do, like, especially if we're talking Caribbean islands. I love a lot of them, but Jamaica feels the most, I think it has the most character, the most depth, the music, the food, Jamaica by a long shot. And then non-Caribbean, probably PEI. So right here in Canada, Prince Edward Island. Have you been to Prince Edward Island?
No, I want to go. I know my friend Amber MacArthur's from there. And
okay. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a gorgeous part of the country, and it is like, that's where you go to be stress-free and relax, for sure.
I could use that right about now too.
Well, I don't know how many of us will want more family time, but it's a good family spot.
How about family? How about favorite beach?
Any beach with sand and water next to it. I am a big time beach girl, but I'm not a big swimmer girl. I don't need to get in the water. I just want to be on the beach looking out at the water. And
are you adventurous?
No. Well, okay. I do adventurous things.
I was going to ask you what's the best place for adventure travel, but
I don't know if the best place, but I did some great stuff in Japan where we did, because I have adventurous children. So they make me jump off things and into things. And we did some great ones in Japan.
Where in Japan?
I think it's Minakami.
Okay.
So we did, I think it's about 4 hours, but you never know with those trains. I think it's about 4 hours outside of Tokyo, if I remember correctly. I have a terrible memory. But we did canyoning and whitewater rafting. Had a good time.
Awesome. How about, actually, well, since we're talking about adventure, what's the most adventurous thing you've ever done? Although canyoning sounds pretty adventurous.
Yeah. Well, I once bungee jumped without knowing that I was going to bungee jump. I think that was in Costa Rica.
How do you
Again,
bungee jump without knowing you're bungee jumping?
they said to me that it was a like a tree trekking hike thing. I knew there was zip lining, and they said at the end there's a Superman swing, and so I thought I was gonna like Tarzan rope, to the next thing, and had never bungee. I had no desire, so I walked out to the edge of this platform because they took you out one at a time. My kids had long gone. I would have never allowed them to bungee jump. They were like, I don't know, 8 and 10 maybe. Um, and I walk out to the end of this long platform, and they put this rope in my hand, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, where am I swinging to? Off I get off the edge of this thing. So they just pushed me. Off I went.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So that was something. It fixed my shoulder. I had a wonky shoulder, and
Did it really?
Yeah, it did. It did. I'll never do it again.
Gosh. What's your best sightseeing tour you ever done or excursion?
Wow. Best sightseeing. I
Mine
don't.
is a hot air balloon safari in South Africa and East Africa.
Yeah, I did that in Egypt. Just not safari, obviously, but it was a hot air balloon through a Luxor, and you could see, the Valley of the Kings and the whole shebang. That was a really good one.
That's
And it was
insane.
at a time, it was 2012. So it was a time when a lot of people weren't going to Egypt because they were afraid. And so there weren't a ton of tourists around. That was a
That's
good one.
awesome.
Sure. Mhm.
Favorite travel movie?
Movie. Let's see. I liked Crazy Rich Asians most of all because it was Singapore.
Yeah, me too.
So that's probably a good one.
That's a great one.
Under the Tuscan Sun is sort of the classic.
Yep.
Yeah, I go with those two.
Those are good. Actually, I have under none. I don't have the under one. I have the Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it sold Singapore. If you had never been to Singapore, that movie definitely would have convinced you needed to go.
And Singapore Airlines declined to do it. That's why they don't. That's why it doesn't say Singapore Air. They had to put some.
Wow.
I mean, that was ridiculous. What a
Yeah,
mistake
not
that was.
smart.
It's like M&M's declining ET. So that's why they
Yeah,
did
right.
Reese's
Reese's
Pieces.
Pieces or what? Oh, really? It was
That's what I
supposed to
heard.
be M&M's.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
You had to fact check it, but that's what I heard. Favorite travel show?
Well, Bourdain, Parts Unknown. I really I haven't seen them all or anything like that. I don't watch a ton of TV, but I liked his style and his approach to things. And then Samantha Brown, Places to Love, right? She does a
Yep.
great job. And I've bumped into her filming a few times, which has been
Did
fantastic.
you?
Yeah, she's a great person. As you know, like phenomenal.
And did you ever meet Anthony Bourdain?
No, no.
That's a shame. How about favorite travel book?
Have you read White Tiger?
Never even heard of White Tiger.
Okay, so White Tiger is set in India. Fantastic book. It's probably the only book. It's not a travel book. It's just this. It's just set in India. But we read it while we were going through India, and it transformed the experience for us. It was really quite phenomenal. And it has, there's nothing about it that's sort of an uplifting story per se. But yeah, fantastic. White Tiger.
And
I
did you
can't
do a
remember the
tiger
author.
safari in India?
We did, and we did not see a tiger. I don't think.
Yeah, we didn't either. But we've done one before in central India,
Yeah.
outside of Nagpur.
Yeah.
It was the most amazing camp. The food, I
Yeah.
mean, unbelievable. And we
Yeah.
loved going on these safari rides in the morning and in the evening. But we heard them, we just never saw them.
Yeah, same. I actually had a similar experience in Rwanda recently where I went on a chimpanzee trek thinking that, and I am neither physically ready for a chimpanzee trek nor of the adventurous sort that should be on a chimpanzee trek, but I love seeing the idea of seeing chimps. And same thing, those buggers flew through the trees and like laughed at me, and I never saw one.
We kept thinking that maybe the organizers are putting like speakers in the trees or the bushes, pretending it's a tiger. But
It's not a bad business idea.
how about who are some of your favorite travel bloggers or newsletters do you subscribe to that you think are helpful?
Yeah, you mentioned Amber, and she's not a travel focus per se, but I love her newsletter.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think she always has great information in there. Travel bloggers I love. There's a ton. I mean, you've got, I say that and then, they're all trying to
Well,
remember
you know
the
what?
name.
I'm going to make a blog post out of this so you can think about it and you can list a couple if you want.
Perfect.
And so, and by the way, speaking of making a blog post, how can people find you?
I'm everywhere. So globetrottingmama.com online. I'm at Heather GD on Instagram. I'm at Greenwood Davis on Twitter. And yeah, I guess those are the big ones.
Awesome. And I'm Johnny Jett. So please subscribe to this channel, this podcast, and sign up to my newsletter. All right, Heather, what's your worst travel moment? We're down to like a few more questions.
Okay. Worst travel moment is I lost my child in Dubai. That was a bad moment. We were on a white water, it was at Wild Wadi, and we were on a white water ride. And you could do an inner tube. And I was on the beach because, right? And my husband took the two boys into the water, each of them in their own inner tube. So they were 6 and 8, something like that. And somehow we didn't realize that it split. And so the 6-year-old went off in the inner tube down the wrong path. And my husband and my other son went the other way. And they assumed that like, it'll be fine. Like, they just said, stay in the inner tube. It's just gonna come back or what have you, because he couldn't get to him. And they did not converge. And so my husband comes back, like, running out of this inner tube. And he's like, where's Cameron? I'm like, he went with you. And so that was, we had to we called all the lifeguards. They shut everything down to search for this kid. I was beside myself. And then, what was probably minutes, he comes walking along with, holding the hand of a lifeguard guy or whatever. And the guy says, yeah, he pulled himself over to the side. He looked for someone with a badge, like we had talked to him about. This was on the round the world trip. And he said to him, I got separated from my dad. Could you take me back to my mom?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a heart attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
On a happier note, what's your most embarrassing travel moment?
Oh, lots of those. Let's see. There's a time that I was sitting in a meeting with some magazine executives, telling them, how great I am at travel and how much they needed to have me a part of things, when I realized that I'd booked my ticket the next day to the wrong airport code in California. I can't even remember. I mixed up Orange County and San Francisco, maybe?
SNA
Like, are they
and
close?
SFO, maybe?
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. It was embarrassing. Yeah.
What's your dream travel destination?
Whichever one I get to next.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing travel has taught you?
Wow. How long do you have? I think the number one thing it's taught me is that time is finite and we have to make the most of it while we've got it. And we don't know, there's no point. I'm not a big bucket list person. I'm not a bucket list person at all. It's all about the now. And yeah, I think travel's really hammered that home for me and hopefully for my kids.
And would you go on another around the world trip with your family?
I would, but I think that's exactly what I mean. Like, I think I'm out of time. My sons are now almost 18 and almost 16.
Wow.
And so they're about to go, one's about to go off to university. The other one is just about there. I'm not sure that we'll have the time as a family afford to ever do that again, but my husband and I will go. We'll definitely, once they're gone, we keep saying to them, like, once you go, don't come back because we've got plans. So we'll see.
What's your best family travel tip when you're going around the world as a family?
Well, we marketed the whole, we locked down that where when you're booking your seats, you book the window and the aisle, and you don't book the middle, and then you book the window and the aisle, and then we can maneuver depending on who comes on the scene. So yes, if a couple comes on and they're separated by us, we'll move around. But one of my best flights ever was with a woman who came into the middle seat, and my husband was on the aisle. I was at the window, and I said to her, listen, we're together. So if you really want one or the other, we'll move. And she said, not unless you want to. I said, no, like, we're good. And it turned out she was a marital therapist. And so she spent the whole flight sort of telling us all about these things. I learned a lot.
And
I
where were
didn't
you
think we
flying?
needed therapy, but everyone can do with a little bit, I guess.
Oh my, where were you flying to and from?
Gosh, I think we were on our way back to Toronto. And I feel like it was the second leg of a flight, but I can't remember
That's
where the first
incredible.
part was. Yeah.
My last question, what's your best travel tip, period?
Best travel tip, go now. Go right now. Drop everything and go. Don't wait.
I like it. And everyone go to Heather's website, follow her on social media. Please follow me and subscribe to this channel. And Heather, thank you very much for taking the time. And I can't wait to travel with you again.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
See you later.